is Dale.
And my name is Zach. And oh my God.
And this is Sayreport Jr.
Coming right at you.
Woo!
Apparently we're a morning rock jock show now.
No, that was my attempt to be a webisode or a web series.
Oh, YouTubers, smash
More,
that like and subscribe down
more
below.
like iCarly. And I mean,
Okay. Oh
I
yeah,
don't know.
that topical show, iCarly, which
When like
ahead of its time more than
it
anything.
really was. It's very unfortunate because like that show came out and I was like, I want to do a web show, but no, like you didn't have the means to do it really. Like I don't know how they did it. They just did it.
They didn't have YouTube, and that's the weirdest part,
They
is that
also
they were on their own bespoke website.
Yeah, like they designed a website and they also had their own studio area because they lived in a magical, crazy apartment complex
They
that has
lived in
an
Nickelodeon, is what they
elevator.
did.
That has an elevator in their apartment. Their apartment is an elevator stop.
They
So
probably just lived in the loft above Nickelodeon Universal Studios, Florida.
maybe that's hey, you know. But yes, this is Sayreport Jr.
That's where they used to keep all that cast when they weren't on stage. It's just in pods
Just
in a
in there.
loft above the
Oh
yeah.
my god. You just made it way too real. I want you to know that.
Keenan's the only one that escaped. That's how he's on SNL now.
Oh my god. That's great. But yes, this is Sayreport Jr., where I like to reminisce about TV shows that I loved so much.
TV shows that pretended to be web shows.
Yep, they were a show inside of a show.
And I create really weird fan fiction about the All That cast. So,
Hey,
you know.
this we make things happen here. Uh, but yes, if you haven't heard us before, I'm gonna do a little intro, in case someone is tuning in to our 26th episode and they don't know who we are or what we do. Is this our 26th? Yes, it is.
It is, yes.
Well,
Well, I hope so, because our last episode was titled 25th Episode Spectacular.
I wasn't sure if like that was 2 weeks ago and I just had time messed
No,
up.
it's just
in my
every day
brain.
feels like 5 years, so we can't.
Yeah, so if you don't know and you just found this randomly at some point in your podcast app, this is a show where two friends who never met each other in real life are trying to be friends.
Get to know each other over the internet. Is that where you? Yeah.
Yeah, I told you I'm caffeinated, and I can't talk when I'm caffeinated.
Translates to some really weird intros.
It's like sober drunkenness when you're caffeinated. It's like a new level of being drunk.
That's what I tell myself when I have my 8th cup of coffee for the day.
It's like, it's okay. At least it's not alcohol. It's fine for you. Yeah. So we can move past this terrible intro.
Let's see. What do we do on this? Oh yeah, we talk about what we did.
What we did in the past week, or we just talk about topical topics.
So,
Like
well, I mean, the most
the
topical
weather.
topic right now apparently is that everyone's mad at PlayStation,
Are they
which is kind of what I did.
Are they mad at PlayStation for
People
the
are-
PlayStation Classic? Is that
Yeah,
what they're mad at for?
I think people are mad at the concept of the little box. Like, here, spend $100 on this tiny box that looks like an old console, but only has 20 games that we
It's-
chose to put on there for you.
It's $100.
Yep. Yeah, it's $100. So here's the thing: it's $100. It comes with 20 games, only
knew
5 of
that.
which they've told you about,
Yep.
and still expect you to pre-order. So God knows what else is on that thing.
I will say that we did pre-order one just because, like, that way we can cancel it if we want to. Like, we have the
There you go.
choice. We have the
That's good.
choice whether or not we want to pick it up or not.
It also apparently doesn't come with an AC adapter.
Really?
So I'm not sure how it. I guess it's a chargeable thing. I'm not really sure how this thing is powered and works.
That's
to be
weird.
honest. Yeah, it is weird.
I didn't read up anything about it. I just kind of saw a video for it on my Instagram feed.
I mean, and really,
And I was
that
like,
video
oh,
was
that's pretty cool.
probably and that video is really probably all they've said. Like I looked at the PlayStation blog today, and they don't say much. It's like, oh yeah, it comes with Final Fantasy VII and one of the Tekkens and um, three other games I can't even remember off the top of my head, and that was it. And they didn't say anything else about the other 15 games. And then it was like, then other people were reporting on it, and it's like, yeah, it doesn't come with this adapter, and it's only going to have the 20 games, and it's blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, none of that sounds at all super interesting to me because I have a PS2. I can play my PlayStation 1 games whenever I want.
So. the thing that looked weird to me is, you know how like the NES Classic, SNES Classic, how short the cables are for the controllers? This one somehow looks even shorter. It's like not even like, it's so small. It's like the size of a, I don't even know what. I don't think there's a cable that small that is useful unless it's like a small little USB cable that you can hook into your computer. It's basically like the length of a external hard drive cable. If you know how long that is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at one right now. Yeah, like they're like
they're not long.
Yeah.
They're not like, it's that's what I saw, and I'm like, that's not. I don't want that then.
Yeah, the whole concept is very strange. It's like there's this expectation from Nintendo and now Sony that like, oh, we're giving you this thing that you're going to plug in and attach to your TV every time you want to use it. It's not like it's not like my PlayStation, which sits here, my PS4, which sits here attached all the time,
24/7,
and then I just play it when I feel like it. They have this like weird idea that you're gonna like store it in a cupboard somewhere and then pull it out and plug it all in and then play stuff and then put it away. It's like that's not how people use their electronics.
Yeah, no.
Hasn't been since VCRs were around.
Well, like, it also tries to go on that whole like, everything is now portable now. Like, everything is portable, and you can play it wherever you go, as long as you have a TV and you can hook it up via HDMI. But
and I mean, most like hotel rooms have like flat screens and that ability these days. But like,
but if I'm going to a hotel, I'm bringing my Switch. That's the way you do. You have Hulu if you have a Hulu account, and you have games. Like, what more do you need in a hotel?
Yeah. And actually, speaking of the Switch, that's the other thing that people are mad about that I have also gotten ready to start putting money into, and that is that Nintendo's Online finally launched a year and a half later. So I'm on the 7-day free trial right now.
Okay.
So nobody get mad at me. I have not spent $4 yet.
I actually was going to ask you because I was on my Switch last night picking a movie to fall asleep to on Hulu, and I saw that you were on the Nintendo Switch Online. I'm like, he already bought it? Like, so I was going to talk to him about that.
No, it launched. So it launched yesterday. It didn't actually like officially launch till like sometime last night because they had to do like their server updates and stuff, and also they're on Japan time. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be $4 a month, or I forget how much for 3 months, like $18 for 3 months, I think. And then no, that's more money. Hold on.
I think it's 20.
I just did the math. I think it's 20 for the year. It's 20 for a year. So there's a number in between for a 3-month process, or it might be 6 months for 18 or something like that.
Something like that. I thought I saw $7.99 or something.
That might be it. That's it. $7.99 for 3 months. Yeah. So I am on the 7-day trial right now just to try it out, and then like I might do the first month for the $4 just to see. But
well, you know what's really cool to me is that they have the family plan, which like here's how you do it. You have a family plan, right? You can put 8 accounts on that.
Yes.
So like,
so here's the thing. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, sweet. So I'm going to string like 5 Switches together, and all of us are going to pool their money for this." What it says is, you can have up to 8 accounts, but they haven't really been clear, and maybe they haven't. I just missed the reporting on this, but it's not clear that they're talking about different Switches. It sounds it's more like if there were 5 people living in this house and we each have different accounts on the Switch, those can all go together. There's no, I haven't seen an actual guarantee from Nintendo that like you and I could split a family account from across the country with our different accounts. You know what I mean?
So isn't it? But by them saying account, I think it is.
It is also linked to your Nintendo Online account, which is completely separate from Switch. See, that's the other problem, is that Nintendo is probably very purposely unclear about this.
Yeah.
They don't know how to very clearly just define the things they have because everything has 8 accounts attached to it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because I thought like on the individual Switch, it's profiles, not account. Like I thought there was a main account, and then I don't know. I need more information. But
Right.
that being
Nintendo's not going to give
said,
it to you.
no. That being said, that $35 a month, if you're able to do it, like that's the way to go. It
Right. Is
seems.
it $35 for the? Is that $35 for the 12-month thing to string those
Yeah.
together? Or is it 35? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. I didn't look beyond much the like. Oh, I could get a 7-day free trial and figure it out
Exactly.
later.
I
But
didn't even see that you could do a 7-day trial.
yeah.
But
So you go on. So the biggest things I mean, right now the biggest thing it gives you is the NES. Basically, the NES Virtual Console, but like they're not doing Virtual Console games anymore. They have already
which
said they're
sucks.
not going to do virtual. They're not going to sell. Which I don't know if that means they're not going to sell individual older games, or if that just means they're not going to call them Virtual Console anymore. But they have essentially taken the Virtual Console concept and put it into Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah.
So as of right now, I have access to 20 NES games, and they said in their announcement that was going to go up. I mean, I thought they said every month, but that might have been me just mishearing, or if it's just like on some sort of quasi-regular basis, they'll just keep adding games to it that you have access to as long as you
Have
have
the
the account.
online.
And again, from the way that they said it, it sounds like that's going to stack. It doesn't sound like any of the games that are there are ever going to disappear. So I'm not sure
That's
entirely.
good.
Yeah, but that's again, I don't know if that's true or if that's just me filling in the gaps of stuff they didn't say. Because what they
Yeah.
said was new games will go on there on a regular basis. They didn't say old games would disappear. They didn't really say what the regular basis was. Any of that. So
Yeah.
so
We just need more.
yeah.
Nintendo, if you are
So
listening,
as of right
give us
now.
more.
Yeah, so as of right now, if you got an NES Classic, I think a lot of the games that went on this first 20 block are in that. So like, not really worth the money to spend on that.
Yeah, no,
But
which
as that
kind of
grows,
sucks,
like,
but
yeah, but as that grows, if they do keep all of them on there, $20 a year to have access to all of those games, it's going to be 4 years before you're spent as much as you would have spent buying an NES Classic for
Yeah.
those 20 games they put on the system.
Yeah. And
So I
like,
think that's money wise. I still think it works out fine.
and chances
But
are, if you're not playing those all the time, like that might be wasted. As
yeah,
well.
but the other problem, but then there's the other thing that they did with this now, which is that you can't play Splatoon 2 without it, without Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah, that's
And
what
you
I was
can't
afraid
play,
of.
and
Like,
you can't play the Mario Kart Online stuff.
yeah, and I'm sure you can't do like paladins, because like
Well,
that's.
see, here's the thing: Paladins and Fortnite are interesting because they're free to play games, and they already announced that Fortnite would not be part of this. So there's a good chance Paladins isn't either. In fact, now that it's launched, we could probably figure this out in a week.
Yeah.
At some point this week, you should load that up since you don't have the account yet, and see and see if you can access Paladins, because this is something that PlayStation does as well, and I think Xbox does. Whereas if a game is free to play, you don't have to pay for the online service to get access to it.
Yeah.
And so since Fortnite and Paladins are like that, again, they already announced Fortnite would not, so I'm assuming Paladins fits into that as well.
I would hope so. I mean, yeah.
and it is annoying that like Splatoon 2 has been out for a year and now all of a sudden you have to pay to use it. Like that sucks, and I wish that they had kind of grandfathered that in and around it. At the same time, a lot of the people that are complaining about it had this complaint a year ago when they announced they were going to do it. So it's like people were started complaining about it this week when the online thing launched, as if no one had told them this, and we've all kind of known since the Switch launched. They were like, so for the first year or so, everything's going to be free, and then our online service is going to launch, and then this is all the stuff that you're going to have to be paying for the online service for. Like, we all knew it was coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
mean, I remember
I'm not
having
denying that
conversations
it's not
about it.
right. I'm not denying that it's not crappy. I also think that like complaining about it now is like complaining about the election on the day after when you didn't go vote. And it's like, well, they didn't have any option. It was like, well, you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Why did you wait until the last minute? So
Yeah.
so yeah. So I mean, I don't know after the 7 days if I'm going to bother keeping it for a while or if I'm going to wait to see what happens. I don't know if I'm going to just pay the $4 a month for a couple of months and see what happens. I don't know. But it is what it is. I'm hoping that they add Super Nintendo Virtual Console stuff eventually. Like, I'm hoping that at some point I'm hoping that the NES launch thing is just a first step, and then eventually it's going to be like, now here's the SNES catalog, and here's the N64 catalog, or that they do announce soon about buying those games individually. Like
Yeah.
one or the other has to happen
Yeah.
soon. That
I
would be
just
nice.
it would be the smart way to go. Like it would be so beneficial to them because everybody who does not have a Switch will buy a Switch and buy the online thing so they can have access to that.
Right.
Um I mean, yeah, and it's going back to the whole like you knew it was coming and all that and getting upset. Like that's kind of how the world is. Like the world is subscriptions now. So if you want the stuff that you want,
Yeah, there's
it's
like a
gonna
lot of the
happen.
stuff that's a lot of the
This
stuff that's
one,
going on with it is stuff that like PlayStation and Xbox have been doing forever. And I
exactly,
think what
yeah,
happened was a lot of people got used to the idea that Nintendo wasn't
wasn't
doing that.
that, yeah,
And so the fact that they like dipped into that pool now, all of a sudden everyone's like, well, they're doing it terribly. It's like, well, they're doing it different. And it looks bad now, and maybe it is stumbly, and maybe they are behind the times on things, but also maybe they're just purposely trying things differently, and
exactly.
that's what Nintendo does.
I mean, I think it seems a little better, like especially since they have a catalog that's gonna come out of these old games that like games that I never got to play, but if I have, just because I wasn't a game kid. Like I really wasn't a game kid until I wasn't into video games until like later on. I watched Devin play video games. I didn't really play them. But like it's very cool to me that I can now play these.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's cool that Nintendo and it's also like way cheaper. Like it's way more quote unquote affordable than PlayStation or Xbox. It's not like it's $60.
Right.
It's
Right. It's not
35
$10 a
or
month or $20 a month.
yes,
It's not $60 a year. It's
it's
20 bucks a
way
year
more
for Nintendo to
affordable.
yeah, for Nintendo to do whatever weird thing they want to try
Hmm.
and do.
Exactly.
Um,
And I think I give it to them for trying it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. People aren't going to pay for it and then they'll be like, "Well, we got to scrap this and
right.
try again." Like I don't know. I'm optimistic, but I'm cautiously optimistic at that.
Cautiously optimistic is my entire relationship with Nintendo.
Yeah, like I don't want to yeah. But like it's very cool to me that they're going to have all those games. And I think that they're smart enough to eventually expand it to SNES, N64 and all of that. If they were smart, if they were like what I would love to have happen, it will never happen, I don't think, but I think it should, is that if you are somehow able to put the entire Nintendo catalog into this online service, or not the entire one, but like the favorites, that would be so good for them.
I would personally enjoy the entire catalog because I would like the opportunity to find new favorites, like that
Yes.
stuff that I didn't know was out there.
Yeah.
Um,
But
which CJ and Devin talk about this a lot, and I was actually talking to Devin on Twitter about this a lot earlier today, which was like part of the problem with the streaming side of things, or with putting things under subscription or putting things in these little boxes, is the idea that they are also simultaneously stopping everyone and anything that can possibly sell you or remake the old games that they're not selling you. They're also stopping those from existing by like Nintendo cracking down on ROM sites and now it's like everything's behind the subscription service, but you're only getting these 20 games at first, and you may or may not get these other games later. And at the same time, we're not selling them to you individually, so you only kind of get what we give you, and it's only the ones that we think are worth putting the money behind. And unfortunately, what ends up happening is you just end up losing so much. Like I couldn't tell you anything about the NES catalog, but as someone who just spent like 2 or 3 weeks categorizing Super Nintendo games, I can tell
you can
you
tell, yeah.
that there's 700 games that came out on that system in North America, and I think like on just the Wii shop alone, they only ever launched like 70 of them. And I'm sure it was the 70 that some accountant sat in a room and went, well, these are the ones we know will sell, so we're definitely putting those out there. And then the other 630 of them just
Yeah.
And it's like, and they won't let anyone else touch them, and they won't let anyone else sell them, and they won't let anyone else do anything. And so, like, I mean, they're not large games. It took me like one email and two zipped files to send those to Devin,
Yeah, no.
and that was SNES, let
Yeah,
alone just
yeah.
the NES, which would be much smaller, I imagine. So like, they're
Well,
not.
yeah.
It's not a. It's. I don't know the amount of time it takes to remake those things for the Switch. I'm never going to be someone that tells like a game developer that they should do things because I haven't got a clue how to do it. So like, I'm never going to be that guy. It would be nice though. Like,
Yeah.
and I think it would be worth the labor money behind that effort to do it because I think that like Nintendo still has plenty of good like rep with their audience. They always will, but there are also people out there who are like Nintendo is makes the dumbest business decisions. Why would I ever give them money for this stuff? And it's it like just Nintendo, just do these things. Just do the I promise you, people will pay for them. You will make your money back
I
on
feel
these
like,
ridiculous things.
I mean, yeah, and I feel like Nintendo has. I feel like everybody in some respect has a love, like a small love for Nintendo. So, like, I think everybody has at least one game in the Nintendo world that they have had an experience with or has like is one of their maybe favorite games or something like that. So, if you're able to ramp that up for that one person, you're going to do well.
And
Like
especially at this moment in time, because we are at this I mean, a decade long shift at this point where
yeah.
the people who grew up with Nintendo as their first systems are now the people who are basically writing about games and kind of shaping that
Yep.
conversation on what they would like to see. Like everyone's kind of responding to whatever articles are out there, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And the people writing those articles are in their 30s. And I mean, it was either an Atari or it was a Nintendo. I mean, that was kind of the way things went. Was that like you had Atari was like the first big, huge video game console, and then it was Nintendo by itself for a little
A
while there
while. Yeah.
before the PlayStation came out. I mean, and even the PlayStation started out as a Nintendo console before Sony went their own way on it.
Yeah.
Like that was going to be the N64 before
Yeah.
Nintendo went, why would we go to discs? Discs are silly. We're sticking with cartridges. And Sony went, fine, and they walked away.
Yeah.
So I mean, really, between the NES and Super NES, I mean, then Sega came in there with the Genesis was the only competition for a while. So like Nintendo is kind of the first one that everybody worked with,
Knows. Yeah.
and everybody
And
knows, and
also,
everybody goes.
on that same line, pretty much all the people who stream are all Nintendo people too. Who it's like it's not just the people who are writing about it; it's the people who are still playing video games and are
And like
still diving into Nintendo and all of that. I mean,
and
what
speedrunners
and speedrunners?
and
Yes,
hackers and that
exactly.
kind of
Like,
community is all Nintendo stuff too.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy.
Because and I think a big reason why those things exist, like why speedrunners are always working with Nintendo games or why hackers are always looking at Nintendo games, it's because Nintendo doesn't have anything out there, which means that they are piracy wise probably the largest number of things out there
Yeah.
are Nintendo things to pirate because
They're the
you can't
easiest
get
ones,
them
yeah.
anywhere because you can't get them anywhere else.
Hmm.
And so which means that they're really easy to stick on your computer and start being like, I'm going to start finding all of the bugs to speedrun this game.
Yeah, I mean,
So
look at all the look at freaking Pokemon Sweet, all right? That exists. That exists. So,
Pokemon Suite exists. Ocarina of Time is still like the single biggest, one of the single biggest
yep.
things at the Games Done Quick conventions.
Hmm.
Like people breaking that game and finding new stuff every year.
Yeah. I
I've
mean,
watched people as soon as Zelda came out, as soon as Breath of the Wild came out, the first thing people did was figure out how to hack their Switch onto their computer so they could start figuring that out
figuring
too.
it out. Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
and I mean, even like when Devin started doing the randomized tournaments or the randomized playthroughs and tournaments for um Link to the Past, like when he first told me that he played through a Link to the Past and it was randomized, I was like, "What? What? What do you even mean?" And he's like, "So like item locations, they're different." And I'm like, "But how? That makes no sense." Like I was so confused. But yeah, it's easy cuz it's basically just a map and then you just move the stuffs on the map. and it's changed. And look at how many games are randomized now. Even
Yeah.
Mario. Like,
Even Ocarina of Time, which I
there,
have watched someone play a
yes,
randomizer of, and I don't know how you keep
that's
that map in your
crazy.
head.
That's crazy. Like, it's. I mean, it's cool. It's cool and crazy, and Nintendo should really try and
Yeah.
dive into that
They'll
hole.
figure it out eventually. They'll
I
they'll
have
they'll drag them
faith.
along. It's weird because Nintendo is as much like I think a big part of
Nope,
the
you're a
reason that
robot.
they drag.
You
Am I a
are a
robot still?
robot.
Okay, am I back?
You're back. Let's just
Okay.
go. Let's go
Yep,
with it.
I'm back. It
Why
wasn't
not?
long enough to care.
No,
Um, I think a
just
big
repeat what you said.
yeah, so much about Nintendo's whole business model seems to be stubbornly staying with the thing that they know worked before, even if it's not working anymore. They refuse to change until like their audience drags them kicking and screaming into something. And so like the Wii U was like we refused to give up on the Wii name because it was so big. And like we know that and yet the audience was like, but we want a second screen because we want the thing to be portable. And what they kind of heard was the DS is really big and two screens are really big and the Wii is a big name. So let's try
Let's just
that.
keep it.
And then we're like and then all it took was what, 3 years of that console completely bombing and they were like, "Oh, they meant they want to play in their hands and
Yep.
walk away from the system." And the Switch
Got
was
it.
born. And
Exactly.
so like
And I think the Switch did it, nailed it. But you know what I want really badly? I don't know why. Just popped in my head. Like going back to like them putting older games on the Switch. Maybe I really want Wii Sports to come back. I just that'd be so much fun. It'd be. I loved Wii Sports.
they're working, I don't know about Wii Sports, but they're working their way back to the multiplayer thing.
Well, one two
Um
switch. 1-2 switch was the closest thing that we got to it, and it. I gotta say that game's actually really fun. People were giving it a lot of hate.
I
It's a
finally got
lot
to
of
play
fun.
it. I finally got to play it at a party like about a month and a half ago, and it was really fun to just
It,
like I was I, I was really good at I was way too good at the cow milking one for some reason, and I was terrible at the table tennis.
oh, the table tennis is the worst because you have to like know how the Joy-Con vibrates,
And it's all
and
by
it's
like
like,
and it's all by sound and
yep.
it's like
And the
oh my
baseball
god.
one too. The baseball one is like that too, where it's like you have to rely on the sound and the vibrations, and I don't. That's just weird. That's
um
it's weird.
but one of the things they announced, and this will be the last thing that I have to say about Nintendo because I didn't even mean to go this long talking
That's
about them,
fine.
but
Hey, it's
it's because
okay.
they
It's
had that
topical.
big they had their direct last week, but it had been pushed a week before. So it's funny because that Nintendo Direct is what was going to announce the launch date for online
Mm.
for Nintendo Switch Online, and originally it was supposed to be on like September 3rd, September 7th, something like that. And then there was an earthquake in Japan. So, out of respect, they pushed it like a week or two. So, they pushed it to the 13th, 5 days before Nintendo Switch Online launched. And that was still like their big announcement for it. And so, like, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, okay. I realized I was like super quiet all of a sudden. I was like, oh God, did I get disconnected?
No, I was just
Um,
letting you talk.
and eating. Let's not lie. I heard that. So,
I was trying to hide it so well,
uh,
but I was
I mean,
letting
that's
you
just it.
talk at the same
You
time.
hit it so well. I thought you hung up. Uh,
Yeah, and then you had to
so
point it out.
yeah, so Switch Online goes from what was supposed to be like a 2 week window to a 5 day window
Yeah,
before
exactly.
launch. But one of the other things they announced in this direct, and I think is fabulous, is tabletop games that are coming to Switch. So like,
Oh,
so in the initial run, it's Carcassonne, um, Pandemic, and
oh
a like
wow,
Lord of the Rings tabletop card game have all been adapted to be on the Switch and to be on the Switch,
that's awesome.
which means that you're going to be able to get them for a lot cheaper than buying those board games at a thing and have them on your screen and all that. And then they also announced that like some like Universe of Catan is coming, which is some version of
Oh
Catan is coming,
wow.
and some version of Munchkin will be coming. They're working with some there's like one company that is doing all of this like tabletop gaming like retrofitting for them.
All right, that's pretty
So
sweet.
right, so
That
that's them like working their way back to this like multiplayer idea that they had with the Wii and all of
yeah,
that. So that'll be interesting
that's
to
pretty
watch
sweet.
that.
I'm excited about
Um,
that. I really
Yeah,
like Munchkin, and I think Devin might be excited for Pandemic. I know
Pandemic
he.
is such a fun game.
Oh, I hated
I
it.
played
We
that.
played
I
it.
played it I played it once,
Oh,
and we actually. I think we almost won, or we did win, one or the other. But we came very close if we
I
didn't.
like hated that game. I played it and I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
But
And
it's
I
so
think it was
cooperative.
because
It's just that
it's
90%
so
of the time
cooperative.
you all die. You.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know if it was the subject matter or what, but like I just didn't like it. I don't know. Maybe I didn't like the gameplay. But Devin was like, just think of it as what did he I don't even remember what he likened it to. He's like, it's cake. I don't remember. Um yeah. That's
uh,
cool. That's very cool though. That makes me happy and excited for because I
yeah.
never knew that they were developing tabletop
I,
stuff for
I mean,
that.
I know that a lot of people had like talked about wanting it, and I think that it
Mm.
was one of those things. Again, it was one of those things that Nintendo was like, we refuse to say anything about it, but we
But
promise
we
it's
might do
happening.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like the Pokemon RPG for Switch, where like at E3 they were like, we don't have
It's
any news on this
coming.
whatsoever, but it's coming. Please stop asking. It's actually exactly what they did with Animal Crossing because they announced
Yeah.
Animal Crossing is coming to Switch, but they did it in the best way ever because they started by announcing Isabelle for Smash. And so what you get is this like 30 or 45-second little like clip of Isabelle running around her office and talking about how everyone's so excited for Smash and everyone's so busy with like Pokemon Go coming out and oh how can she possibly keep up with things, and you're watching this and you're going, well, this is it, this is the announcement for Animal Crossing, they're finally doing it. And then someone hands her a letter and she opens it up and immediately it's Isabelle coming to Smash, and you're like, no, how could you do that, how could you troll people, they have been asking for so long and you troll them with this, Nintendo, you're terrible. And then 5 seconds later there's Tom Nook on screen and he goes, oh, by the way, Animal Crossing is coming in 2019. Stop
Nice.
asking about it. And it's like, oh my god! And it's like that was this weird thing where Nintendo knows what their audience wants, but they're so stubborn about talking about it.
That's pretty great. I
Oh
never
man,
played Animal Crossing though. I've
I never
never
played it.
played it.
It's
That's
got
pretty good
two
though.
releases. This is a game series that I cannot believe the crowd, the like fervor around this game for a game that came out once on GameCube and once
Once
on
on
DS.
DS. Yep.
And for some reason, everybody talks about this game like it's the freaking holy grail of Nintendo games.
Well,
And I'm like,
aren't
and
there
it's
like
like,
different versions of it though? Like the one I know is
there's
like New
one.
Leaf, but
New
there's
Leaf is the one for DS.
yeah,
It's the DS release.
but there's another
There's like a
version.
there's like a house decorating like mini
Hey,
game version of it that's not the full one. But
actually, it was on the Wii U. It was on the Wii U because I remember because GameStop had like boxes of it, and it came with a Tom Nook amiibo. So it was on
really,
the Wii U. I don't know what one, but it did
apparently I
happen.
missed that entirely. How do I know every Wii U game but not that? Anyway, but it's just like so.
Maybe I'm
It's
wrong. I could be wrong.
I don't know. I mean, it's just like so
But we
crazy to me
definitely
that
had a
like
Tom Nook
it is a it is a game
like
series
box
that
set.
like yeah, it's like the people who have played it absolutely loved it.
Mm, yeah.
And then oh yes, there was it was like a city something. City Folk. It was
Yes.
Animal Crossing City
Yes.
Folk. So I don't
Yes.
know how like expansive that was compared to the original game or to New Leaf. City Folk might be much more like the house decorating one that came out, or
Maybe.
like Mitomo where it was like here's your apartment and you get to know the people, but it's not like a full might not have been like the full experience.
I
But
just is Animal Crossing like Sims but with animals?
kind of. So it's like you get a house. My understanding of the Animal Crossing series, a game I have never played and yet I know everything about because no one shuts up about it, is that like you move into a town and for whatever reason you are made the mayor of this town.
Yeah.
I don't know
Okay. All
why,
right.
but
I
you're just
thought
made the
so.
mayor when you show up. Um, and so first thing you do is you get into massive debt with Tom Nook, who's this like raccoon that like is like, oh yeah, here's your house and here's some furniture, and also you owe me for all of it. So whenever you get around to it, you owe me $50,000.
So he's a loan
Sure.
shark.
So he is, yes. Tom Nook is a massive loan shark, um, and so I like to think that the whole mayor thing is a ruse. It's just like we sold you a bridge, and so you owe me money for it. And
Nice.
so all you end up doing is like it's like a mix of like Stardew Valley and Harvest Moon kind of thing, where it's like I'm gonna go and just pluck a bunch of like um, different fruits and vegetables and things, and I'm gonna go do favors for this person, like run their mail here and there,
Mhm.
and all you're really doing is building up good goodwill with your
So,
townsfolk, and then
hold,
also like they're paying you to do these favors,
hold on.
and so that you can pay Tom Nook for your loan and also buy new furniture for your house. And it's
The
just an endless cycle of that, as far as I
the
know,
whole goal of Animal Crossing
is to pay
is
off a
to
loan.
pay
Yes,
off a loan.
as far as I know,
Are you
yeah. And then
kidding me?
theoretically, you pay off that loan and then start making money yourself that you're then not gonna spend on anything but more furniture. Like,
What?
I also
What?
just started playing Stardew Valley again, so I can't like argue against that because I would play the heck out of that game. But
I thought you were just the mayor. I never knew Tom
like
Nook was a
you're
guy
the
who
mayor.
sold you something. I
He
thought
like
you were
sold
just
you.
the mayor, and you
No,
were
he like
like
theoretically
me.
sells you your house, and so you owe him for your house through most of this game.
Oh my god! I'll just play Ever Oasis. I'll just play that. All right. I don't have to pay people. I just give them a job. I give them a place where they can live.
And I'm gonna
I
play,
help people in Ever
and I'm gonna
Oasis.
and I'm gonna keep playing Stardew Valley, where it can take me over 3 years to complete a quest, and no
Oh
one ever
my
complains. So,
god. Well, maybe let's
uh,
see if I can turn that into a segue. Speaking of quests, have
yes.
you ever heard? I just want to. I don't know. I think we've said a lot about Nintendo, and
Oh no, wait, no, we're done. We're good.
I think we're ready
I meant
to
to be
move.
finished like 5 minutes ago, and then Animal Crossing came in
Yeah, I
came into
know.
the
And then I
conversation.
found out the truth of Animal Crossing, and I never want to
The, t-
play that
the
game.
deep, dark
Like
capitalist truth of Animal Crossing.
and like you say we're still talking about Nintendo. You say that like you think the mayor thing is a ruse. It is conspiracy unlocked. That is my new thing. Like 100% conspiracy unlocked. Tom Nook is like, I can get money from this idiot by making them mayor. And it's like, they can do my bidding and make all these townsfolk like them, and I'll get them the money. It's like, yeah, no, it's an evil game. Tom Nook is
Sometime between
evil.
this week and next week, I should really look up the point of that game, and if I'm wrong, I'm gonna have a lot of explaining to do.
That'll be episode 27. We'll be good.
Uh,
Oh, we're fine.
that's my
Um,
quest for the week. Back to quests.
Back to quests. I would like to bring up, because it was the series finale. Devin and I watched the series finale before we recorded tonight. Of a little show called it's not even called Mysticons.
Okay, you texted me about this earlier, and I've never heard this word before. So what?
Well, that's because it's a made up word. It's like a portmanteau of mystical and
And icons?
icons. Oh my god, that's probably what it is. Holy crap.
I
They're
am
mystical icon. You've never seen the show, Zach, and you just unlocked
that's
the
what
title for me.
that's what a bachelor's degree in English from Rhode Island College will get you.
Oh
Is
my
knowing how to pull
god.
apart knowing how to pull apart portmanteaus.
Devin is gonna listen to this and he's gonna be like, Dale, you're such an idiot. Or he is equally going to be as excited. It's probably the former, but you know. Uh,
So
anyways,
what is this show,
so
Mystica?
Mysticons is basically the Ninja Turtles, but with four girls. No, they're girls. I was gonna say four. They're young. They're younger.
Oh,
Um,
I thought you were gonna be like, no, not girls, dogs. Like, no.
I was gonna. No, they're four girls who it's like in a mystical, like a fairyland kind of world. They live in Drake City, and they're basically the Ninja Turtles, but not turtles and girls, and they have magic, and they use magic, and they ride around on griffins,
So
and
not
save
like the
the
Ninja
world.
Turtles at all, except that there's four of them.
Their character traits and
Okay.
their character arcs, yeah, whatever, character traits are very turtle-esque. Like, you have the leader who is solely like, you have the quote-unquote leader, Arcana. You have the rebel in Zarya. You have the mech head, or the machine head, I say mech because she builds her own mech. Emerald, who goes by
Okay.
M.
You actually just you got me on fairies with mechs now. I'm good with
She's
that.
actually a dwarf
Oh God.
who builds her own mech. And like, hold
Is
on,
that because it's
let me
like I want to be a fairy
let
too?
me
Let me
get
build a mech to pretend like I'm a fairy.
and then you have like the fun-loving child, child at heart, like very innocent Piper, who is a fairy, who is an elf. Oh, I'm sorry, she is an elf, and she wears little fairy wings because she is adorable. Um,
Oh.
so they basically are like their character traits are the Ninja Turtles, and they do go on, more like the I want to say 2015 Turtles. That might not be the year. I don't
The
know.
TMNT era, where everything was shortened
The
to the
newer Nickelodeon show that isn't Rise of the
right.
TMNT. So the later one, the one before the
Yeah.
one that we're in now. It's more like that because of like some of the episodes follow each of the girls, and they really do go on like Ninja Turtle like quests, not quests, but like journeys and whatnot. Like Zarya is the rebel, so there are times where she like is like, I'm done with you guys. I'm going and being by myself for a little while. And then she realizes that she needs them because they're a family and they got to stick together, even though, like, they were really forced together. So it's also kind of like Power Rangers. It grabs from a whole bunch of different things. But it's just so much fun. It's so good. Um, and the series finale happened tonight.
The
And it's
series
just
finale,
the
not just season. It
series.
was the
It was
series
the
finale.
series finale. It was apparently total shock to me. Like Devin texted me, he was like, "We need to watch it because it's the series finale. It's the last one ever." And I was like, "What?" Because the last episode we watched, so much happened. So much happened, and everybody should go watch Mysticons. You should go watch Mysticons, Zach.
What channel was it
It
on?
was on Nickelodeon.
Okay.
Um, but it's 2 seasons. They're fairly short. Like I think they're fairly short. I could be wrong. Maybe they just feel short because of
Not
how.
like a SpongeBob season that can go on for like 80
Yeah, no,
episodes
no, no,
before
no,
they're
no.
like, oh no, we're technically in a new episode, this new season now for no reason. No.
It's quick though too. I think like there's 20 episodes in each, maybe, but they go quick. Like they're very fast. Um, but yeah, it's so cool because they're like ordinary people. They're ordinary girls, right? Zarya and Piper are best friends, and like I said, so Zarya is like, if you need someone to compare them to, Zarya is like the Raphael, and Piper is the Michelangelo. So they're best friends. They're kind of poor. They take care of each other. Zarya, they live in the oh, I don't remember what it's called. It's not the underworld. It's like the underrealm or whatever. They
There's like
basically street
there's enough
kids.
of a fantasy economy in this for them to be like, we're the poor ones.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
just seems that
It's
seems like a bummer.
kind of. So yeah. So they're best friends. They are like street kids, little like city kids, street kids, who have to fend for themselves and also take care of the younger street kids. And it's really nice. Like it shows that they have like this heroic bone in their body somewhere, that they care for others and everything. And Zarya really does take care of Piper. Even though Piper, she is very capable, she can do a lot of stuff. Piper does like Zarya does have like that spot for her where she's like, I need to take care of you. There's even a Michelangelo-esque episode where Piper's like, I'm not a baby, like I can do this. So yeah, it's so incredible, like how ridiculous this show is. Like it's cheesy and it has cheesy lines. It has crazy, like almost anime-esque music that kind of like you start looking at your TV like, where's this music coming from? Like why is this playing right now? But like it has this depth to it. Like the entire show, It starts out with Arcana, who is the Leonardo, is friends with M, who is the Donatello. Um, and I almost just called her Donatello. M is the Griffin,
Emmatello.
Emmatello. Oh my god. You just combined my two favorite characters into one. Oh my god. But yeah, so she's the Griffin Wrangler, and Arcana is royalty. She is the princess of Drake City. And it starts out where her parents get turned into stone, and her stepbrother has to become the king, and he is not fit to be king at all whatsoever. He does not care about people. He is very self-centered, like just this little jerk of a person. And they become the Mysticons. They get all four of them get forced together, and they become the Mysticons, who are these ancient like warriors and protectors of Drake City, and they have to fight evil. They have to fight this person named Necrofa, who is the scariest thing in the world.
Necrofa is just like, that's like the scariest name in the world.
Right? Like, there's legit scary things that happen in this show, but it's okay because you know that they're gonna get, killed. But but like, it's crazy. The things that we find out in the series finale, things get brought up. It was a weird series finale, and like kind of left me wanting more. And I don't know if it's my love of Mysticons or if it's like we kind of just threw all this stuff in here and then wrapped it up real quick because we weren't approved to get any more episodes. So like there is a character named Kitty. I don't remember last names in the show, because their last names are really good. Because they're like, I think one of them is Goodfay. Like someone's last name is Goodfay. I don't remember.
Their name is Good Fairy. Their name is the Good Fairy, basically.
Pretty much. And I don't. It might be M. I don't remember. Devin will listen and be like, "Oh, it's this one." But there's they're Sky Pirates, right? Who Zarya used to like roll with and be friends with, and the captain of the Sky Pirates is Kitty, and she is so badass. She has a whip. She like kicks ass, right? And one of the spoilers for the Mysticons, even though you should still watch it, one of the later episodes, they find out, I think it's that they find out that there are like other dimensions and stuff and other things that are going on and could come attack. And Kitty, like, these they're like dark elves or something, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't remember. They come and Kitty's like, they're like, can you come with us because we need your help, and you are the only one who knows really how to handle this kind of stuff. And so she goes off with them, and it's like really hard for her and Zarya to like leave each other because they're best friends. Devin and I think and kind of hope that they're in a relationship, or at least they have feelings for like deeper feelings, romantic feelings for each other. And I wanted that to happen so badly because it really does feel like they love each other. Just because of how much they care for each other. And Kitty never comes back, so it's not resolved.
Oh, God.
And I'm really upset because it felt like there was the moment where Nickelodeon was going to be like, yeah, we have a lesbian couple on our television show, and this is how it is. We're going to do it. We're going to have it. And
but
like,
no one's watching.
But
so
no one is
bye.
watching our show, except for these two Decker children. And who cares? They don't need it. It's like, no, but we do, because it would be so good. It would be so good to have in a kids show, because Cartoon Network has done it, and I think Disney has done it. I don't know if Nickelodeon has done it.
Oh, you're a robot.
Am I a robot?
Yeah.
Really bad?
Wait, start talking again.
Hello.
Oh, you're good.
All right, sweet.
You're back.
Yeah, I don't know if Nickelodeon has had anything like that, but it would have been the time, I think, because of how much they really do care about each other. And it doesn't feel like a Zarya and Piper like love. It feels like a romantic, like I am in love with you kind of
Right.
love, you know? And it sucks that we didn't get that resolved. But yeah, it's gonna like apparently live on in comic books and graphic novels, which sucks because I'm so gonna buy those.
Because there
Um,
goes all my money.
yeah, it's so good, and I highly recommend it.
Oh, that's okay. They'll pull the Legend of Korra in that, where they get to actually put their lesbian relationship in there because it's after the fact and no one's complaining about it on TV anymore.
Oh, was there?
There was by the end of that series, there was someone that was like it was like very
Implied,
much like
right?
in the implied, and so one of the latest comics, like they are together. Like it just is like when they started to be able to do the comics later on, they were able to just explore that as just they are a couple now.
All right, that's good.
So
So
yeah,
yeah, I didn't know that because I never finished Legend of Korra, even though I fucking love that show. I never finished it, so I never like saw that resolution.
yeah.
But so that's good. So that makes me very happy. But yeah, I don't know. I really recommend it.
So
And I
Mr.
want
Cons, I have to go find it.
You have to go find it and just love it. It really
And actually,
is
and yeah, and what I was gonna say, and speaking of Avatar and Legend of Korra, their
live
new
action.
show. Yes, that too. But I was going to say their first thing is that Dragon
Oh,
Prince premiered. So I started to I watched like the first 2 episodes of that. So I'm sure by the time I finish that, I'll have something to say on it. Really like the first 2 episodes. Art style is weird. We had talked about it with Disenchantment with the whole 3D kind of like half 3D,
mhm.
half 2D animation thing. So there, and I think it's a big part of it is because it's very clearly digital art that they're using. So like that's kind of the art style to it. It takes some getting used to. The other thing that's weird, and I don't know, it is that it doesn't quite look like a smooth 24 frames per second sometimes when you're watching it. And I don't know if that's a high def thing. I don't know if that's a digital thing. Like maybe they are
Hmm.
doing 24 frames per second. It's just that using high def digital tools now, that's not enough. But like when people are moving, like when they're talking and standing still, it looks fine. It's when they start doing like if they do like a longer shot of someone like walking down a hallway or something like that, you can see like more. I don't want to say jumpy. Like it still looks fine. Like I got used to it after an
Mm.
episode or so, but like you can see the frames basically is
Yeah.
kind of what it feels like. And so it's got this kind of strange like painterly flip book quality to it sometimes is the best way to describe it. Like it's beautiful shots, but it also looks like someone is just like flip booking the pages to make them move instead of like super smooth motion. I don't know. It's really
That's
weird
kind
to
of
explain.
cool.
But I mean,
That sounds very cool to me.
and I think it's something like and like yeah, I mean it's different. It is not something that I think is bad. I don't think it detracts, but it is definitely something you have to like get used to watch it. But yeah, so I've only 2 episodes into that because I lost internet this weekend,
Yeah,
so
you
I didn't
did.
do much.
That's
I came
okay.
home from work. I came home from work on Friday and had no internet. And when I called in the morning, Comcast was just like, "Oh yeah, you had an outage at some point. I was supposed to come back though. That's weird. We'll send someone on Tuesday to figure it out." I was like, "Oh, thank you. Oh,
Oh,
thank you."
oh, thanks.
And then
Thanks
I
for your
show up
help.
then I show up for my appointment and I'm like 10 or 20 minutes early and there's already someone at my house and I'm like, "Oh God, did I miss your call?" He's like, "Oh no, I'm here for your landlords who live like in the same
Oh my
complex." And
god.
they're like they also get disconnected and it looks like something just came out from there's like construction on the street and there's this outage and all this stuff and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, something just came disconnected. I'm reconnecting it now. It'll probably fix your house too, so you don't have to worry about your appointment either." I was like, "Oh, thanks. You were done in 5 minutes." I had to
Jesus.
wait 4 days for them to fix it.
Oh my god. What did
Uh,
you do? What
well,
what
it's
did you
so
do with
here's the
no
thing.
internet, Zach?
So here's something I found.
A
Aside
world?
from streaming TV,
Books?
no. I mean, I have books. I've discovered those, but no.
Fresh air? No. Okay.
What I discovered was that I actually don't use the internet that much unless I'm streaming something in the background
Hey, well
sometimes.
that's good.
So like I use like most of my video games these days are digital. So
Yeah.
if I buy a new game, I obviously need the internet to buy it and then download it. But if I already have stuff,
You can just
I
play
don't
it.
need the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I played Spider-Man and finished it because I had 4 days with nothing else to do.
Oh, I need to
And
finish
like
it.
and like I played some more Pokemon and I played this and that because I already had it. So like I rearranged my house. So
Nice. So you
so
got
like
stuff done and
so like I
still
got
were able to play games. That's good.
yeah. And so but I do also have unlimited data on my phone, so I
So
still was
you were
able to
still able to have
put stuff in
Twitter
the background.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
I had Twitter. I ran YouTube in the background for stuff. I just didn't bother with like Netflix or anything because if I'm gonna watch like a new show, I don't want to start a new show on my screen on my
Exactly.
phone.
Smart.
Um, and yeah, so that was yeah. I've discovered that my life is not as tied to the internet as I thought it was. There are
That's
just
good.
like specific moments when I need the internet to do something.
That's that.
So
I think that's really good. Like that's what more people need. They need to know that they aren't cut all the internet. I say for 4 days and see
if
what
Comcast
people
would let me, if Comcast would let me like pay for internet by like the
the
day,
day
I would literally just pay for it on the weekends and then like
get
not
all
need
your
it
shit done.
because then I could
Right?
just get my stuff on the weekend
Exactly.
and then I could just like I could I could like binge watch a show on the weekend. I could do some stuff. I could download a new game and then for the rest of the week I don't need internet and I don't need to pay you for it either.
That's pretty smart. Like
uh,
that's revolutionary, man.
yeah,
That's
but they
start a
won't let me do that.
start an internet company.
They're not gonna take a deal where I pay them less. So
No, that's what I'm saying. Like you start your own company with that in mind, and people will come
ugh,
flooding to you. Well,
yeah.
maybe. Well, maybe. Actually, people are really like internet heavy, except
and
for
tied
like
to their
you, and
and
tied to
tied to
their
their
phones
stuff where
and
it's like
tied to
really
their
easy.
shit.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to
Never
be like,
mind.
I'm already paying for this, so I don't really feel like changing to that, even
Yeah,
if it would save me money.
that was a bad idea. I'm sorry. Don't make that company
And never has a company begun and crashed and burned in the moment of
in
an
a
idea,
minute.
in the plan A phase of things.
I think it was in
Uh,
the same sentence. I think it was
ah,
within the same sentence. So like personal best, if not
uh,
if not world best. Jeez. Oh God. Well,
I think that's good. I mean,
I
I got
think
nothing
that's
else.
good. I think we filled our hour. I'm proud. I'm good with the
Let's see.
episode.
Sometime soon, maybe in the next week or two, Dale will finish Spider-Man, and we'll have a whole special
Oh
episode on
man.
that. So look forward to that when
You
we get
know,
to it.
you know what I
But,
just realized? I mean, I'm
but
going to say it next week too, but our 27th episode is going to be during my birth week,
oh yeah,
and I'm born on September 27th. Whoa!
I like that. I like the excitement in that.
I thought of it like at the beginning of this episode, and I'm like, I'll save it for next week, but I couldn't because
You just keep
it's
saying it. It's fine.
numbers are cool. Numbers are
Nope.
cool when they're not math.
Bye everybody.
Bye. Peace out. Oh, there's
First-
one last thing I want to say about Mysticons is
yes.
that they like fantasy eyes, they mythici, I don't even know. They make modern like phrases into fantasy phrases.
Oh
So
God.
like
At least they tried. At
oh
least it
my
wasn't like
so like oh my god is oh my goblin.
beautiful.
And they say by the hammer of Harmon, which is really annoying. They also say by the stars, but the greatest of these is HexTag,
Oh dear God.
and it is. I don't know if it's ever used beforehand, but there are these evil. Spoilers again. There are evil Mysticons that get created, and they use it as it, so it's even better. Like HexTag, you're done. Or
Oh
HexTag,
man.
we're gonna kill you, Mysticon.
Spider-Man does not approve of that. By the way, there is a line in the game where someone says hashtag something, and his response is, "People say that? I'm 26 and I don't say that," or something.
He's
Like,
23. He's 23.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he 23? Because they say
it's in the bio that he and
Okay.
MJ are 23.
Okay,
It's
then
like
that must
in
have
their
been.
little biographies.
Then he must have been. Then they must be going with him being bitten at 15.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the thing because they say that he has been Spider-Man for 8 years, and so it depending on which Spider-Man you're talking about, like Sam Raimi, he was 18.
18, yeah.
And then, like in the comics, it's usually 15 or 16. So okay, so he's 23.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
more on that next time, probably.
hopefully, if I beat
if
the
we
game.
if we get on Spider-Man now, it'll be another like 3-hour episode.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Oh gosh. Well.
All
right. Well, this has been the Say Report Jr. Everybody, a podcast that you.
You try every week and you forget.
I do. I really do. I wanted to turn it into our thing. Everybody
This
get
has been
ice
Say
cream.
Report Jr. Oh, yeah, we'll get to this ice cream in a second. Let me try it since I created it.
You did create it. It's like, I feel weird saying it every time.
You're the one that decided to use it. That's the best part. You're the one that decided to use it. So I was like, yeah, no, I'll let it do it. This has been Say Report Jr., a podcast you should be listening to, subscribe to, and downloading every week.
There we go.
You can follow us on Twitter at Say Report Jr. You can find us on YouTube at Say Report Jr. I don't know why I said at, like you search YouTube with at symbols, because you don't. But you can.
It's okay. You're in the Twitter verse.
You can find us individually. I am at Zerwisky.
And I am at Dale's Brain.
Now we should all go get ice cream.
Let's go all get ice cream. Bye. Take it away, Liz. For the love of God.
Someone end it now.
Thank you for listening to The Say Report with your hosts Dale Decker and Zach Sarowick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report. And you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.